Hello Bookworm family, it's Danny. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell, as it's always a fantastic mystery when I post new videos. Hopefully over the summer I will have a scheduled recording video day thingy bobber that so many great YouTubers have. I currently do not have one. Obviously YouTube is not my career. I wish it was, but it is not. So I have to kind of work around my work schedule to make videos, which has just been really busy this month because I said in my last video we had competitions and we're getting ready for recitals and stuff like that. Summer is a little less busy, so hopefully that will be good to go. My throat is a little dry today. I hope it's not like coming across in the video much because I've just kind of had like a really dry house lately. I think allergies are coming out because it's springish. And I say spring-ish because the other day there was snow. Like after there was sun and the melting of snow, there was more snow because upstate New York. There are two new changes. If you guys haven't noticed, I have stopped wearing makeup completely. I haven't worn makeup in my last few videos at all. No eye, no anything. I just don't see the point in wearing makeup, and I've kind of always just worn it because I thought it was socially acceptable to wear it. Kind of coming a little bit more into my own and being like, I don't need it, so I'm not gonna wear it. But if I am wearing makeup, it will probably be because I have like a performance or some form of like showcase or something to do at work, so I'll probably put on some makeup for that because I have to, but most of the time I do not wear makeup anymore, and it's just been a lot better for my skin, for my face, and for my eyes. I wear contacts and I have really bad vision, and I've noticed by putting like eyeliner and mascara and stuff on it ruins the contacts a lot faster, so now I'm getting more use out of my contacts. Also, the second change is that my Harry Potter shelf is now behind me. I just wanted it in my videos, and I really like this new setup for my videos, except that my bed is here. I wish my bed wasn't here, but it is nice to set stuff on if I need to set stuff on it, so. Which I had set stuff on and now I need them over there, so look at that. So anyways, today's video is a wrap up of January, February, and March's books because I've just been so bad at filming wrap-ups. I didn't film wrap-ups last year, and then some of you guys from my Instagram said you would really like video versions of my Instagram wrap-ups. They're not going to be as detailed as my Instagram wrap-ups, so definitely still go follow me there. It's at Danny's Book Corner 2018, and if you're not following me, please go do that because my wrap-ups there are way more detailed. They have all sorts of ratings. They have tags to get you to the books and the authors and all that stuff, so it's a lot better than my YouTube wrap-ups will be. But because I said that I would do it, I am going to try to do wrap-up videos. I was hoping to do them every month, but now here it is, the third month of the year, and this is my first one that I'm doing, so. Anyway, so we're gonna get right into it. So we're gonna start with January's books. The very first book that I read in January, I think most of you guys know, I said I wanted to reread the Harry Potter series this year. This is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling. My favorite book of all time. I have read it before. It is a 5 out of 5 star. If you guys don't know what this is, then you must be living under a rock. But if you don't know what Harry Potter is, basically in this first book, Harry is a boy who is living with his aunt and uncle and his cousin, who are very mean to him. He finds out he's a wizard, and not only a wizard, he finds out he's a famous wizard, so he ends up going to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, where he discovers lots of secrets about the castle, about his past, and about his family, that leads him to facing off with the creature at this point who tried to kill him and killed his parents. So this book is my favorite book of all time. I have nothing better to say than it's my favorite book of all time. J.K. Rowling really invented a brand new world, and I am in love, in love, in love, in love, 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 love with this book, with this series. But this book is my favorite of the entire series just because it starts the magic and it starts the new world. So yeah. That is how I started my new year. And I'm rereading the series because I'm hoping in November that I can go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So, hoping that happens. So I want to read them all beforehand. The next book I read in 2019, I do not have a physical copy of, but is Who is Lucille Ball? Or Who was Lucille Ball? She's not alive anymore. Whoops. But Who was Lucille Ball? It was by Pam Pollock and Meg Belvisio. This is part of the Who Was, What Is, Who Is, All That, Where Is collection. It's kids' autobiography or kids biography, not autobiography. Nope, not autobiography. Just kids biographies, kids fact books, I guess. They're made for like younger grades. I did read this one because me and my best friend I Love Lucy. Pun intended, but we love Lucy, and I bought it for her, but I wanted to read it first, so I told her I bought it for her, and I told her I was reading it first. I gave it to her, obviously, so I don't have a physical copy of the book right now, but I did give it this 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's very informational for kids. I think the whole series is great for kids. Obviously, it's not super entertaining to an adult, but if you really like somebody or really like a place or an object or something like that, and you want to know more about it, I do think that it's really good to like get some of the facts from there, because there were things in there that I did not know. So always good series, and I definitely always agree with reading kids books to learn new things. So the next book that I read in 2019 was The Lucky Few by Heather Avis. If you do not know who Heather Avis is or who The Lucky Few are, they are an Instagram family. My sister-in-law let me borrow this book, so I don't have a copy of it anymore because I gave it back to her. But if you guys have ever followed The Lucky Few, or if you're not following The Lucky Few, please go do that on Instagram. They are a family of 2 parents who adopted 3 children, 2 of whom have Down syndrome. And if you guys have seen any of my past videos, you know that my nephew has Down syndrome, something that is very close to my heart. Heather Avis's book talks about her journey into deciding to adopt children with Down syndrome. She ended up adopting 2 children with Down syndrome, which everybody told her she was crazy for doing. She also has a 3rd child that she adopted who is not special needs. And her husband went through a lot of stuff, and she covers everything from the emotional struggles of not being able to have a child, to adopting kids, to just the sassiness of kids, and kind of how she goes about her parenting techniques and how she follows her faith in Christ. So she is a very interesting woman. I really enjoyed the book, and I think you guys should read it, but I did only give it a 3 out of 5 stars, not because I didn't enjoy it. I just am not interested in ever having children or adopting children or anything like that. So, you know, it's just one of those things that I was like, this is great, but a lot of it was parenting advice that I'm like, I don't need this now, and I don't think I'm going to need this ever. So overall, I thought it was a pretty good book for people who are parents or want to be parents. The next book I read was Part of Your World. It is by Liz Braswell, and it is part of the Twisted Tales series. I had never read any of the Twisted Tale series books before, and this is the 5th book in the series, but you don't need to read them in order because they don't like tell a sequenced story. They take place, and they are all different books from different like Disney fantasy characters' points of view, as if the ending of their movie or book was changed. So in Part of Your World, it is as if Ariel never defeated Ursula. And basically Ursula is ruling the kingdom, and Ariel is underwater, and she thinks her father is dead, and she's trying to rule his kingdom, but she has no voice. She finds out that her father is not dead, and it takes place over her trying to rescue him and also trying to help the kingdom that Ursula has kind of destroyed since she has been in reign. I liked this book. I liked the idea. I would really like to read the Beauty and the Beast one because Belle is my favorite Disney princess. But overall, I thought it was kind of a spoiler alert because you would find out something from Ursula's point of view because it took part over different people's point of views like throughout the whole book. You would find out something in Ursula's point of view and it'd be like kind of like, okay, yeah, I kind of expected that to happen. And then it would get to Ariel's point of view and she'd be like, oh my gosh, I did never expect that kind of thing. And I'm like, really? Like, that's the climax? That's the change? So I did only give this book 2 out of 5 stars just because I felt like there was no real, like, climactic point. But I liked the idea of it. So, I don't know. It was kind of a letdown. It's also a very long book, so a long book with no, like, giant climactic point was kind of bummer. But overall, pretty good. Not my favorite of the year. The next book I read was just a little collection book. It is called Belle's Library. It's not really by a specific author, though the foreword is by Linda Wolverton, who I think, I just read it recently too, but I believe she wrote Beauty and the Beast. She didn't play Beauty and the Beast, right? I think she wrote Beauty and the Beast, or like wrote the Disney screenplay of Beauty and the Beast, something like that. includes a foreword by noted Disney screenwriter Linda Wolverton. But overall, the book is just beautiful. It is supposed to be like Belle's reading journal almost, so it'll have an entry of like a quote of something Belle read, and then like her response to it. It's a very cute book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 star because it's more of like a display book than a reading book, but it's still, it's absolutely stunning. I think all the artwork inside is beautiful, so. The next book I read is Skizzer by A.J. Keisling. I don't know how to say that, I'm sorry. But this is a Christian novel. It is a mystery. Basically, what happens in this book is Claire has grown up very close to her younger sister, Becca, who ends up disappearing. And her and Becca's husband go to try to find her while things from their past is brought up. And basically, it like goes through like their visit in London and all the stuff that they did like as kids that kind of led to this moment of her sister missing as an adult. And I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. I didn't think it was the best mystery I've ever read. It wasn't really something that I could figure out right away, but it just wasn't anything that really held my interest for too long. But the ending was actually pretty good. I did enjoy the ending of the book. So for that reason, it kind of redeemed itself at the end, and I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was The Wednesday Wars by Gary D. Schmidt. If you guys know, last year my favorite book that I read was Orbiting Jupiter by Gary D. Schmidt, and this one did not disappoint. I also gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. I did borrow it from the library, so I don't have a physical copy to show. However, the book takes place in 1967, and it's kind of in the middle of the war then, and there's a boy, and he's in school, and he's just your typical, like, teenage, like, preteen boy, and he thinks that his teacher absolutely despises him, and basically he's growing up around all these people who are kind of discovering themselves and discovering what they want in life, and he's kind of just complacent, and he doesn't really care what happens around him. But overall, it's a really, really good book, and he learns a lot of life lessons that even me as an adult needed to hear. So I think it was a really, really, really good read. The next book I read was Seed Folks. This is a super short read. It was only 69 pages, so it's a super short read. It is by Paul Fleischman. And this book, I read this book in middle school and hated it. I could not stand it. I thought it was boring. I thought it was horrible. It's about a garden. I was like, it's horrible. Read it as an adult and my heart was ripped to pieces. This book is it is the melting pot of books. There is a viewpoint from every single person, race, gender, everything, point of view, different cultures, all trying to grow this one beautiful garden. The symbolism in this book is amazing. It takes place over 13 people's different viewpoints, and it was just so heart-wrenching to me to read that this was something that could happen in our world, in our country, especially now when there's so much hate against immigrants and stuff like that from our president and from people who support our president, that this book was just like, I want to hand this book to Donald Trump and be like, this is why we need immigrants in our country. Just a really beautiful, touching book. I did give it 5 out of 5 stars. I just thought it was something really special, and I can't believe I hated it in middle school, though I can see how, even though it is written for kids, it does really tug on the heartstrings more of adults. If you're a kid, you don't really care about a garden, and you don't really understand symbolism and stuff like that, so I did really appreciate this book as an adult, but not so much as a child. The next book I read was Call of the Wild. I'm sure most of you have read it. It is by Jack London. It is about Buck, a very domesticated dog who lives with a wealthy family who is kidnapped during the gold rush and shipped to Alaska, where he must become a sled dog and learn basically how to be a wild animal. This book I gave 4 out of 5 stars, should be 5 out of 5 stars, because normally when I read a classic like this, I'm like, yes, 5 out of 5 stars automatically because it's so good and it's so well known. However, I cried. I cried for most of the book, and I'm sorry, but I can't give 5 out of 5 stars for a book that makes me cry for most of the book. It was heart-wrenching. Just no. They are making a new movie of this in 2019. I did watch the 1992 version or something like that. and it didn't affect me as much as the book did. However, I probably will go see the 2019 version and probably have my heart ripped to shreds in whole different ways. But anyway, you guys know Call of the Wild. But I just felt like it was 4 out of 5 stars because I was so sad for most of the book. The next book I read was Inside Out and Back Again by, I'm going to butcher this and I'm sorry, Fanha Lei. And this is a book written in verse, which I love books written in verse. I'm actually currently writing a book in verse. And this is just about a young girl who is living in Saigon, and obviously Saigon is destroyed, and so she and her family immigrate to America, where they are moved to a farm in Alabama where people hate her kind and despise her, and it's just a really sad kind of look on what happened, but a unique look at what happened at that time. I didn't feel like it had a huge plot or arch or anything like that. Arc, not arch. What am I saying? I don't know what I'm saying. I'm thinking of Dam's arched feet. I don't know. But I didn't feel like it had a huge plot arc or anything like that, or like climax or anything. It just kind of told a very unique viewpoint story. So I did give this 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't hate it, but I just had a hard time like really understanding what I was reading it for besides the unique perspective. It is a quick read though, so, and if you're interested in that time period, it's a really great book to read. The next book I actually read the series which is Women Are Some Kind of Magic, and I've read The Princess Saves Herself in this one, The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one, and The Mermaid's Voice Returns in this one. They are poetry, like poetic fiction almost. They are kind of telling a story, except The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one doesn't really tell a story. It kind of is just kind of like female empowerment poetry. The other two kind of tell a story from beginning to end of like, they're all pretty much about like childhood abuse, sexual assault, stuff like that, and how you have to kind of save yourself from those situations and overcome because nobody's going to do it for you kind of thing. I did like these books. I gave The Princess Saves Herself 5 out of 5 stars. I gave Mermaid's Voice Returns 4 out of 5 stars. I accidentally read them out of order, so I read The Mermaid's Voice Returns second instead of third like I was supposed to. But I did only give The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one 3 out of 5 stars. I just felt it was a little ranty, where I preferred the other ones that actually told a story. This is just, the whole series is just very empowering. I think if you're somebody who is actively a feminist or actively standing up for women's rights, then you would really enjoy the series, which is why I enjoyed it. But overall, if you're somebody who likes standardized poetry with standardized formatting and stuff like that, it might not be your thing, because she really does break the law of what poetry is supposed to look like, which is something that I really appreciate given that I studied poetry in college. So the next one that I read, don't make fun of me, it's really good. Break Into the Internet, Choose Your Own Adventure, Wreck-It Ralph middle grade novel. So this one I could like barely find on Goodreads. I had to scan it into Goodreads, but it is a choose your own adventure book. You can choose either Jean, Yes, Wreck-It Ralph, Vanellope von Schweetz, or Fix It Felix to play as. I did end up reading it from each of their viewpoints once. It took me a day to read the entire thing. But I did just pick one of their viewpoints each. It does look long, but their stories are fairly short. It's it was just fun. It was more like a game than a book. I only gave it 2 out of 5 stars because obviously it's not really telling anything. The plotline gets all scrambled up depending on who you're picking. It doesn't really always make sense, but it's more like a game than a book. So I definitely think if you have a kid who does not like reading but loves watching movies and they're into like Ralph Breaks the Internet or anything like that, this is a great book for them because it doesn't feel like you're reading, it feels like you're playing a game. As an adult, not really my style, but I needed to choose your own adventure book for my reading log this year, so I just thought it was fun. It was just cute and fun. The next book that I read, and it's actually the last book that I finished in March, though I am going to touch on the one that I am reading now because I will finish it before the end of March, but this is the last one that I've actually finished by the time I'm filming this video, and it's Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Again, I'm rereading this series this year for the same reason that I said when I was talking about Sorcerer's Stone. In this one, if you guys don't know, this is Harry Potter is visited by a house elf at his house before he goes back to school at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. And he warns him not to go back to school because bad things are gonna happen. Everything is against him in this book. Like, he has a hard time playing the sport of Quidditch. He has a hard time getting to school. All these bad things are happening, but nothing really bad happens until they find out that students who are not pure blood, also known as muggles or mudbloods, are being petrified, which means that they are being frozen to stone, cannot blink, cannot move, cannot hear, all that stuff. And that is when Harry realizes what the house elf was talking about, so he goes on a mission to try to figure out what this is. When they find out that the Chamber of Secrets is open and it is home to a very vicious beast who is doing this, he goes down to try to solve everything, fix everything, and take on the beast. So this book I also gave 5 out of 5 stars, though on my Instagram rating I only gave it a 9 out of 10 because it's not my favorite of the series. Actually, when I first read this book I got really mad because I was like, how dare they talk about mudbloods and muggles like that, like that's rude, like kind of thing. I didn't actually like super love it as a kid. This was kind of like the one that I was like, maybe I want to stop reading this series, and then I read Prisoners of Azkaban and changed my mind. But I do, like, now as an adult understand the importance of this novel. Like, it wasn't the most like extreme greatest of the novels of the series, but it is a very important novel to the series. So the last book that I'm currently reading, so I don't have a rating for, but I will probably be finishing it by the end of March, so I want to tell you guys about it now, is Code Talkers by Joseph Bruchac. I don't know how to say his last name. Sorry again. This is about Ned Begay, who is a Native American, and it takes place during World War II, and he is a Navajo Indian, so he actually is called into war to kind of translate the Navajo code, which is really cool. I'm not very far into it. I'm only about a quarter way into it. My best friend recommended this to me. She loved it. I'm not really into it so far, but in the April video I will give you the overall rating and let you know what I thought towards the end. Right now it's kind of boring to me. I'm just not really into stories like this. I do like historical fiction, but I do usually read it from a female point of view because I find that more interesting than reading a male point of view. Just a personal preference, but it's not horrible so far, so hopefully eventually I will get more into it. But anyways, that is my January, February, and March wrap up. I have read 5 books in January, 5 books in February, and I will hopefully be finishing my 6th book in March. So far I'm on a really good track to read 65 books this year, which is my overall goal, and I will try to do better with posting these videos monthly instead of, you know, tri-monthly. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching as usual. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time.